public school board meeting of the Daniels Parish School Board. I'd like for you to silence all of your phone devices that may interrupt our decorum. We're going to ask that if you have any comment on an agenda item, fill out paper in the back, hand it up to me. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. We're going to ask at this particular time that our very own superintendent is going to lead us in our invocation, and Ms. McCaskey is going to lead us in our pledge of allegiance.
Bow your head. Father God, we just thank you tonight for the assembled body here. We ask your hedge of protection around us and ask for your wisdom in all decisions we make. We ask that you help us to always put students first and your vision first, and that we make it about these other things, these more important things, than it ever is about us as individuals. And we ask that we always, in everything we do, glorify you and your kingdom. We ask all these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
It's in a different order, guys, so bear with me. Mr. Middlefield.
Here.
Ms. McGaskey.
Here.
Mr. Broadway.
Here.
Mr. McTwire.
Here.
Mr. Garner.
Here.
Phelps.
Here.
Mrs. Pedros.
Here.
Mr. Dancy.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Present.
And Ms. Palmer.
Here.
We want to have a motion to suspend the rule and add 2 items to our agenda.
I'll offer that motion.
Second.
Right, it's been offered by Mr. Benfield and seconded by Ms. Phelps, and the agenda item is.
So the 2 items, one is to verify the increase in pay as voted on by Bessie. The increase in MFP, that's $800 for certified personnel and $400 for non-certified personnel. And then the second item, I believe, is Ms.
Yes, the second item would be to discuss the dress code for the teachers. At the beginning of the school year, we had a sunset date of once we hit phase 3 or 4 to move away from the jeans and the scrubs. So that's the other item.
All right, so can we never suspended it, and we want to. All right, I would like to get a roll call vote because we have to have unanimous consent.
Is this to suspend?
Yes,
Roll call to
suspend and then to add.
Mr. Dancy.
Yes.
Mr. McTwire.
Yes.
Mr. Benfield.
Yes.
Mr. Garner.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mrs. Pedros.
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway.
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey.
Yes.
Ms. Palmer.
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, then to add.
Mr. Dancy.
Yes.
Mr. McTwire.
Yes.
Mr. Benfield.
Yes.
Mr. Garner.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mrs. Pedros.
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway.
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey.
Yes.
Ms. Palmer.
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, Superintendent.
I only have one item, and that is if you turn in your agendas to the executive report 9B, I just want to mention to y'all that that's something coming down from LDOE, but there's been too much information that's changed literally in one day. So I would like to table that for next month until we get more information from both LDH and LDOE. It's a voluntary testing program. I want to assure everyone we're not talking about mandatory testing for COVID or anything like that, but I want to do some more due diligence before I bring it before the board. And that's it.
All right. Old business, I think Mr. Benfield asked for old business A, discuss of parking lot.
I have made numerous attempts to get in touch with Joe Staney, apparently busy
who's our attorney. I have no report on that today. I do know that he has pretty much resolved the issue, but when can we proceed with construction is ultimately y'all's question, and that's a good question. I will get back with y'all on that. If y'all are okay, I will report that by email when if y'all are okay with that.
That'd be great. All right, new business announcement of public meeting.
Would y'all like me to read that back into the
Yes.
record again? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that at its meeting to be held on Thursday, August 5th, 2021, at 5 p.m. at its regular meeting place, the Parish School Board Office, Boardroom, 310 Royal Street, Natchitoches, Louisiana. The Parish School Board of the Parish of Natchitoches, State of Louisiana, plans to consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling elections to be held in Consolidated School District 8 in the Parish of Natchitoches, State of Louisiana, and Consolidated School District number 10 in the Parish of Natchitoches, State of Louisiana, to authorize the renewal of ad valorem taxes therein.
All right, thank you so very much.
Okay.
B, discuss and appoint interim board member for District 5. And just before we do that, Mr. Benefield has the qualifications and some things that those who are interested in that particular district want to read that.
We're going to follow, the Natchitoches Parish School Board for the appointment of this district is going to follow the normal school board member qualifications. By the date of qualification, which would be whenever we determine, the candidate shall attain the age of 18, resided in Louisiana for preceding 2 years, have actually domiciled in that district or ward for at least 1 year. The candidate shall be able to read and write at the next regular election following the reapportionment of election. Should we change any type of district, we're not doing that. No person shall serve as a member of the school board or run for 2.5 terms in 3 consecutive terms. Such service being during terms that begin on or after January 1, 2014 shall be elected for the succeeding term. And that's the qualifications.
And again, would you, Dr. Lloyd, read the letter that we received from Ms. Katrina Willis, who resigned?
I do not have that letter in my packet right now. Do I have the letter from the previous packet?
Yeah, last one.
You have it?
I got it. There it is right here. Secretary of State.
Thank you, sir. Dear Mr. Elo, in accordance with LARS 18653, I am enclosing a copy of the notice of resignation received from the Honorable Katrina Fowler Willis as member of School Board District 5, Parish of Natchitoches. Pursuant to LARS 18602, the governing authority shall, within 20 days from the date of the vacancy, on or before July 21st, 2021, make an appointment to fill office, call a special election. The next available election is March 26th, 2022, and April 30th. 2022, with qualifying dates of January 26th, 27th, and 28th of 2022. After a proclamation is issued calling the election and an appointment has been made, a certified copy of the proclamation calling the special election, as well as the certified minutes of the meeting in which the appointment was made, or certified resolution, are to be mailed to our office. A commission will be issued to the person appointed to fill the vacancy. If the governing authority does not timely call the special election and or make an appointment, we will forward a request to the governor to do so pursuant to LARS 181602. If you have any questions concerning the above, please contact Trey Brazen.
All right. If you were here tonight and you're interested in being appointed to this particular district, District number 5, if you would come and state your name, and we're going to give you 5 minutes to speak why you would like to be considered in filling that
Yes. Are we going to have a special call meeting? Or is it?
We are.
So
We're going to have a
would we
special.
want to wait and do all of it at once?
Well, it may be somebody when we have a special call meeting.
Can't get present?
Right, right.
Yeah, take up our first time. We gotta do this before the 21st. Keep in mind, board members will be done 17th through the 20th.
Mm-hmm. And it has to be before the 21st. Right.
Yeah, because y'all have the tri-state
And also
conference.
keep in mind, we have to advertise the amount of time, the amount of notice that.
Yeah, so we need to make that date probably tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, we can make it tonight. All right. If you would state your name and where you reside.
Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Ernestine Scott Armstrong. I am a citizen of Natchez Parish my entire life. Live in the town south community, the same community that Mrs. Willis represented in District 5. I've been living there for 43 years, worked for Head Start for 38 years, as a teacher, a supervisor, and as a parent, a grandparent, and a great-grandparent. Have also been involved in Natchez Parish school system for many years because of my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren now that attended. I would love to be a part of this organization. My profession has been education all of my life. Always have been interested in it for the best for the children, the staff, and the parents. And if I'm given a chance to represent District 5 in this school board meeting here, I would do my best to do what is best for the children first, the parents and the staff and the school board as a collective body to make sure that everything is done for the children, all kids in Natchez Parish. So I'm hoping that you would consider I didn't have time to do all the things that I've served on, but I have been in a lot of boards before, Council on Aging, have worked on the committee for the financial report for the Natchez Parish School Board in 2018, so very familiar with a lot of things with the parish school board. So I would ask that you would consider me to finish the term for Ms. Willis. She had talked to me about it before she left. Would I still be interested? And I told her I would, and I would come before the board and ask their approval. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Is there another?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Cheryl Fred. All of my children, I have 5 children. They've all been educated in the Natchez Parish schools.
Where do you reside?
I reside here in Natchez. We've been living in the Natchez area close on 6 years.
Your address?
500 Lakeview Drive. Okay. What can I say? I'm currently a tutor / para at LP Vine, VA Cubs. I have 3 kids that graduated from Natchez Central, so I'm a chief. And I have one that just graduated from Lakeview, a Gator, and I have another Gator that's about to graduate up and coming year. Why am I here? First and foremost, I love what I do. My passion is for the kids. I absolutely love kids, and not necessarily just kids, but kids that are struggling. You know, that's my heart, that's my passion. I work with small groups. Over the summer, I was awarded the opportunity to be able to, because my current position, I'm divided among 5 teachers on Team A, but over the summer I was awarded the opportunity to actually be responsible for small groups, and so it was an opportunity, and I love the experience, you know, working with the babies, but particularly when I'm working in the classroom on a daily basis, I'm working with small groups, and so that's my heart. Having 5 children, I have anywhere from 3 of them being 4.0 students to 2 of them were struggling throughout the school, so my heart is for the struggling kids. Throughout my years, I was blessed to be able to stay at home and raise them, and so when I started volunteering in the schools, I thought every kid had what my kid had, you know, a 2-parent home and so on and so forth. So it wasn't until I started volunteering in the schools that I noted that I wanted to be in the educational system. And so that's kind of how I got involved. I've been in various states. I lived in the state of New York. I was in education, state of North Carolina. I'm a native of Seattle, Washington, but I also worked in Seattle public schools. But if I'm awarded this opportunity to be able to serve in this particular position, my heart is for the kids, particularly the struggling ones. That's my heart on a day-to-day basis. My kids have already come through this marvelous school district. They're all doing well. I have a Marine who just graduated April 30th. I have a son that's doing very well in Dallas. I have a son that's doing well in Atlanta. One daughter that's born in Southern, and the other baby at Lakeview. She'll be graduating upcoming year. So in the schools, I'm here with the teachers. I'm here, I see what teachers go through because I'm right there for the babies and I'm for even the high school students. Whatever way that I can help, that's what I'm here for. So I would love to serve in this particular position. Thank you.
So, did you want me to be the point of contact for them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is there any other person?
Okay, when will we close the nomination for people?
Well, it's going to close, depending on when we set the call meeting.
So, would you like them to do a letter of intent and then maybe a proof of
Yeah.
I
address?
think we're gonna need a day or so to prove that address, correct?
Absolutely.
So we might need to shut it off the day before we have the meeting.
Right. That would be great. Day before we have the call.
Do you want to talk about dates real quick? or
Yes,
education?
absolutely. Let's go
So the
ahead.
17th is next Saturday, and that's when, I guess, some of the board members are leaving for the conference.
Right.
And so how many days do you need to advertise?
48 hours, correct? 24, that's right.
Okay, so today's the 8th, so the dates next week are 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
So,
What's Thursday?
yeah.
Thursday's the 15th.
That'll work for me.
Yeah, Thursday.
Okay.
It work for
Are you okay
Well,
with
the cutoff date is the 14th.
14. So if they send to my email, grant.eloy@npsb.la, we're saying a letter of intent
Right.
and a proof of address, or you can deliver that.
and their current address.
So the day before the Thursday?
July 15th.
Yes, so can we do that noon on the 14th? That information needs to be in so we can disseminate that, verify and disseminate it to y'all.
That's correct, and also they need to be a resident of that district.
For at least 2 years.
Yeah,
At least
so,
a year.
yeah.
LA, 2 years.
Louisiana 2 years, district 1 year, yeah.
Correct.
And any ancillary items they would want to include if they, a resume or a curriculum vitae, however you pronounce the Latin word, any of that type of stuff they want to add will be fine, I think. So they're either going to email that to me or come up here and deliver it to you or I.
So you want to repeat it so they can hear?
Okay, so just to reiterate, meeting will be Thursday, the 15th, July 15th, here, 5 o'clock, as per usual. All the items we've asked for will be due July 14th at noon, either via email or in person here at the central office. Any questions about that, please don't hesitate to give us a call and we'll.
So will we have a ballot with the names? Is that how we'll do that, or?
We had discussed maybe doing it similar to the superintendent thing where y'all, it was a ballot, you check a name and then.
If there's 3 candidates, if there's 2, it's just gonna be head to head.
Right.
If 3 candidates.
Remember that there are
top
10, there are 10 of y'all, so in that case, there still would have to, if there's still 10, it would have to be 6 and 4, or simple majority.
All right.
What was that you said you needed, Superintendent?
July 14th by noon.
The information that you need.
Just a letter of intent, which is kind of what y'all just did here, why you want to do this in your background. If you want to include a resume of some sort, that's ancillary, you don't have to. And then also proof of residency that shows you're a resident of Louisiana for 2 years and a resident of the district for at least 1 year prior to the qualifying, so that would be July 6th, 15th of the year prior.
Right.
Something like a driver's license or
Correct.
light bill or something.
Yeah, I think any of those would make do. But I believe, Ms. Page, we're able to verify that through our system, the state police system, or we'll figure something out. I know, she's giving me that look of.
I just can't guarantee that it will happen as quickly as that.
You have a driver's license.
Yeah, that'll speak for all of it. So,
I think you're okay.
yeah, driver's license will work, and then the letter of interest.
All right, you all have taken the time to peruse the consent agenda. And I entertain motion.
Second.
It's been offered by Mr. Twine, seconded by our very own Miss Beverly. Can I get a roll call? No, I don't. All those that favor, yea? Aye. All those opposed, nay? Ayes have it. Approval of minutes of June 3rd, 2020. Can I get all from that?
I'll offer.
Right, it's been offered, motion by Ms. Phelps, then seconded by
Yeah, we're trying to work extra hard for you tonight.
all right, Mr.
Yeah, Ms. Reynolds, can we make it any more confusing?
Brand new system. Yeah, that's new system. Mr. Danzy.
Okay, finance, item 7A, permission to advertise for bids for Lakeview High School turf, development of annual maintenance of taxpayer school district smartphone application, and 3, janitorial supplies for the district, and 4, reading assignment and progress monitoring, including math.
And real quick, remember number 2 has been stricken because there's a sole source provider.
That's correct, number 2.
I will offer that.
I'll second.
It's been offered by Mr. Corner, seconded by Ms. Beverly. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Item 7B, take appropriate action on bids. We had milk products and paper products. And they are listed by the bidders and who won the bid in our packet. But I think we need to take these individually, because there's, item 1, low bidder was Associated Food and Equipment Supplies, and I'll offer that.
I'll second.
Been offered by Ms. Danzy,
That was for kettle, gas, and stationery.
been offered by Mr. Danzy, seconded by Ms. Gidros. On the roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefiel?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gidros?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 2, confection streamer, gas, Associated Food Equipment and Supplies, low bidder at $16,871.50. I'll offer that one.
Second.
Been offered by Mr. Danzy, seconded by Ms. Palmer. Any questions? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefiel?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Item number 3, tilting skillet, braising pan, gas at LP Bond, Associated Food Equipment and Supplies, $19,922. I'll offer that one.
Offered by Mr. Danzig, second by Ms. McGaskey. Any questions, any comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Item number 4, thermocool walk-in freezer at Marthaville, Associated Food Equipment and Supplies, Lafayette Restaurant Supply, Inc., at $24,450. And I'll offer that.
I'll second.
It's been offered by Mr. Danzig and seconded by Ms. Beverly. Any questions and comments?
Yes.
Yes.
Will this be installed prior to school starting?
I do not anticipate that that will happen just because of the nature of timelines with this stuff. On things like the coolers and the serving line, they will come back and remeasure to make sure everything is perfect before.
The question, do we have the proper electrical outlets, electrical connections to?
That is
power
within the bid. They are to
Okay.
provide everything within 8 feet of installation. It's a white glove installation is what was bid with all of this. And they will install and remove any old equipment to the warehouse where we can send it off for auction.
So we're getting a duplicate at Provençal also?
Provençal is down for a cooler and a freezer.
That's great. Thank you.
Any further comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
I'd like to take item number 5, thermocool walk-in cooler at Provençal, and also item number 6, thermocool walk-in freezer at Provençal. Both items for low bidder was Lafayette Restaurant Supply at $21,450 for the walk-in cooler and $29,350 for the freezer, and I'll offer that.
I'll second it.
Been offered by Mr. Danzig, seconded by Mr. Garner. Any questions, any comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
I'd like to take item 7 with the serving counter utility at Goldana. Item 8, which is a hot food serving counter table at Goldana. Item 9, serving counter utility at Goldana. And item 10 is another serving counter utility at Goldana. And item number 11 is cash register stand, which numbers 7 through 11. Take those.
All offered.
Second.
Been offered by Mr. Garner and seconded by Ms. McGaskey. Any questions, any comments?
The low bidder, by the way, was Associated Food Equipment Supply.
All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
I'd like to take item number 12, the serving counter utility at Lakeview. Item number 13, serving counter utility at Lakeview. Item number 14, serving counter utility at Lakeview. Item number 15, cash register stand at Lakeview. And item number 16, cash register stand at Lakeview. And item number 17, serving counter utility at Lakeview. Item number 18, serving counter at Lakeview. And item number 19, serving county utility at Lakeview. The low bidder on all of those are Associated Food Equipment and Supplies.
Okay. Was that Mr. Garner who offered?
He offered.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Been offered by Mr. Garner, seconded by Ms. Palmer. Any question, any comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 20, convection steamer gas at Fairview. Low bidder was Associated Food Equipment and Supplies, $15,871.50. Okay.
I offer.
Second.
Been offered by Ms. Palmer, seconded by Ms. McGaskey. Any question, any comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 21, convection oven gas at East. And item 22, tilting skillet braising pan is gas at East. Associated Food Products and Supplies was the low bidder on the tilting skillet, and convection oven low bidder was Lafayette Restaurant Supply.
Oh.
Second.
All right, been offered by Mr. McGuire and seconded by Ms. Palmer. Any question, any comments? Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 23, convection oven gas at Weaver. Low bidder was Lafayette Restaurant Supply, Inc., $11,850. And I'll
Second.
Been offered by Mr. Danzy, seconded by Ms. Palmer. Any questions, any comments? Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 24, tilting skillet braising pan gas at Weaver. Item 25, convection steamer gas at Weaver. Both low bidders, both items were low bid by Associated Food Equipment and Supplies.
Make a motion.
Second.
Been motion by Ms. McGaskey, seconded by Ms. Phelps. Any comments, any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 26, tilting skillet braising pan gas at Magnet. Associated Food Products and Associated Food Equipment and Supplies was a low bidder at $19,234.50. I'll offer that.
I'll second.
Been offered by Mr. Danzy, seconded by Ms. Beverly. Any questions, any comments? Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaudreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 27, convection steamer gas at Natchez Central High School and a tilting skillet braising pan gas at Natchez Central High School. Low bidder was Associated Food Equipment and Supplies on both items.
I'll offer.
Been offered by Ms. Beverly, and seconded by Mr. McGuire. Any questions, any comments? Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Guidry?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGathy?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 29, convection oven gas at NSU, low bidder Lafayette Restaurant Supply, Inc., $11,850. I'll offer it.
All right, been offered by Mr. Danzy and seconded by Mr. McGuire. Any comments, any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Guidry?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGathy?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 30, ice machine, flake style at Natchez Junior High, Associated Food Equipment and Supplies, low bidder.
Second.
Been offered by Ms. Palmer and seconded by Ms. McCaskey. Any questions, any comments?
Before we vote on this last item, 30, we had two bidders. Ms. Hicks, has either of these vendors expressed supply issues, long-term supply issues, because we're having problems all over the United States getting parts and pieces and equipment?
I have been told that it might take a tiny bit longer than usual, and that's why, they are encouraging us to, as soon as we're able with this process, to go ahead and place our orders.
Okay.
But they haven't told me anything wildly unusual, like it's gonna be 6 months. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape if we go ahead and get these orders placed. And I've been in contact with both vendors since the bids came in, and talked to them and have appointments for them to come back and do the remeasuring and checking on things that they will need to do to get the orders placed.
I know what automobiles are doing right now, and so I just wondered if refrigeration's the same and
I haven't been told
Tilting skillets.
anything that seemed crazy, but they did tell me, a few weeks difference than what you would normally expect.
thanks, man.
Next item, we have milk products.
Wait, I don't think.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, roll call.
No, I need a motion and a second vote.
It wasn't.
I'm sorry, I got
It was
Ms.
a
Palmer
motion.
and Mr. Gaskin.
Yes.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Guidry?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGathy?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
We have, taken 7B, take appropriate action on bid for milk and milk products for 21-22 child nutrition. Bids are open June 23rd, and Ms. Hicks has given us a recommendation for the milk and milk products, paper and paper products. Those bids are open also in June 23rd. And I'll offer that motion on Ms. Hicks' recommendation of the low bidder.
I'll second that bid.
Been offered by Mr. Danzy and seconded by Mr. Garner. Any comments, any questions? Roll call.
This is on the milk and paper, milk and milk products and paper products?
Yes,
You taking them both at once?
yes. On her recommendations on the bids.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Guidry?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGathy?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 4. To go on.
3.
3.
Thanks, man.
A Natchez renovations. Tudor. That was the one with Tudor, Inc. Was a low bidder, I believe, on that. Correct. At $1,217,000. I'll offer that.
Second.
That's for Magnet and LB Bond.
Been offered by Mr. Danby and seconded by Ms. Phelps. Any questions and comments? Roll call.
I have a question.
Okay.
Mr. Wascom, are these prices locked in with what we're going up? When were these bids made and are
Those
we
bids
gonna
were
have-
just, that bid was just opened on July 1st, and that was in consideration of everything. Because they're gonna pretty much order everything after this gets going. A lot of this is service to the bathrooms, which doesn't always require a lot of material. But yes, these are locked in prices. And I will say, the estimated project was supposed to be, we thought around 800,000, and it ended up to 900,000, came in at 1.2. And so that was due to increasing material costs.
Yeah.
So I had to make some cuts in other areas to get everything to balance.
So how many bathrooms did you say, 44?
That's just to help people. It's just, because they have Jack and Jill bathrooms there, where they have a bathroom in the center of two classrooms.
Any further comments, questions? All right, roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. LaToya? Mr. Benfield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Boudreaux?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. Nagaski?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 4, broadband.
Okay, I was gonna just, since our last meeting, I have spoken at length with our attorney. I have given a motion that would be read for this. Basically, we're going to be able to break it down to allow them to go ahead and use the 1.2 that's been approved. We're going to asking for an authorization in addition to acceptance of the bid for $7,980,000, but also to authorize Dr. Eloy to sign a contract to sort this out with the 1.2 and the $6.8 million coming in.
So
And in the event the 6.8 is never shows up, then and how to resolve the matter.
And we have been assured in talks with the vendor that were the second round of funding not to happen, the fiber can be sold off and we can both recoup our cost if necessary.
Because the fiber is in such high demand, which is why we're trying to push this forward. In the event we retrieve it and we're not able to work it out, we can easily sell it off and recoup our money.
Okay, the motion to broadband is to approve and award the bid proposal BP 2020 to EthiTouch in the amount of $7,980,000, authorizing the superintendent, Dr. Eloy, to execute a contract with EthiTouch upon review and approval of legal counsel, and I will offer that motion.
Second.
All
Can I
right.
ask a question? In reference to this something to CTL, can I ask that?
It's got a motion on the,
Okay,
and then you can go.
okay.
Okay. It's been motioned by Mr. Garner and second by Ms. Palmer. Any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Yes. For those students that reside in areas where CPTL doesn't offer service.
This is to cover
This
every
is to bring the
we gave-
service, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is to bring that service.
This is we gave them a list of all of the locations of where our children are currently, and they are able to cover 95% of everybody in the parish. The last 5% will cost $12 million to cover. So it's a substantially higher amount, but with this, we will be able to bring fiber broadband to 95% of all the children that attend Natchitoches Parish schools. Now, in the event that it runs by your house and you don't have it, you can you contact CPTEL separately to get service to your house.
Okay.
The 5% is made up of these extremely long roads in the country that may only have one resident 7 miles down that road, and it's just not it's not financially viable to go down some of those stretches of road.
And it was some talk about possibly putting hotspots in those areas to help boost the signal in those.
And we've also been told, I talked to the head of broadband, what's going to happen too from this is once you get down these stretches with the fiber, the next group that's gonna come in because the fiber's there is probably some of the cell phone companies. So we're gonna see, when this is all complete, if it happens in the 2 years, even those folks who may not benefit directly are gonna benefit indirectly in some way, shape, or form. But 95% is pretty good.
I want on record saying and thanking Epic Touch for being great partners.
They are here, by the way, if y'all wanted to ask any
I'm
questions.
sure they'd like to be recognized appropriately. But the point is this is great for us, but the next thing is, what this is going to do for us is it's going to allow us to serve more children, and they will not have to leave their homes should they have homework and things like that. And so we're on one-to-one already.
Mm-hmm.
We have the ability to partner with a leading industry in the area to bring this cable in and have it ready and capture it before it disappears from the market.
And one other plug, as I was talking to the Natchitoches Times before the meeting started, so you have this piece that we're doing, you also have the one-to-one of the schools, but then the federal government, and we're gonna say this over and over again, has the emergency broadband, what's the other? Benefit. If they go, just put EBB, emergency broadband, into Google, they can go to the website, they can go to our website and see it. We're gonna keep putting it on our social media, and then they can get up to 50% off, $50 towards their internet, which right now, I think the 25 megs per second is $49.99 through Epic Touch. So, virtually, with some other fees there, you're having internet for under $10 at your house, high speed. And they spoke to us the other day about what 25 megs will do.
And if they'd like to come back up, they can come and speak on that again, because that's the game changer.
You gentlemen would like to come up and speak to it?
The engineer.
What would you like for me to say? Well, you touched on the functionality of the 25/3 circuit, and you're all familiar with buffering. You have to wait for to catch up, and you should have no problem streaming 2 TVs, have a couple of laptops and a couple of smartphones downloading photographs with a 25 meg circuit. I've never needed more than that, frankly. Although maybe there's some folks that do a lot of gaming and with kids, but the fiber to the home service will provide for you 100 meg service if you so wish to get that type of service. But again, we're excited to begin this project. I mean, it's been so years engineering Goldana alone, and it's just difficult for a private entity to come up with the funding to extend this network. Typically, you're talking $35,000 a mile for fiber work. It's a lot of things that go into it, and this is a large and a complex project. And I guess if I had any question at all, and of course we're hoping to get the funding to order the material before I'm not going to say too late, but they've been warning me, my vendors have been warning me, you better get this bought or you may wait 45, 50 weeks to get it. So I'm hoping we get this soon so we can order this.
Next week.
Next week would be good. I'm going to call them tomorrow and just see what they got. See if we can't, hold back some for me.
Can you use your birthday for a PO?
I think so.
Well, what I'm excited about with this is, we talk a lot about equity, and this is a huge equity thing. We're talking about whether you're talking about equity in terms of geography or socioeconomic status. This is going to address a lot of those gaps that we have based on just purely, your parents' income and stuff like that. So this is huge for our kids, and I'm proud of our district. I'm proud of the state of Louisiana. I'm also proud of the federal government for what they're investing here. So.
It's huge. I mean, anymore, there's people who determine what the broadband availability is for the purchase a home.
That's right.
I mean, it means a lot. It means a lot. And again, I'm excited about being a part of this and getting this done. People are waiting to go to work, so I hope this all works out and is funded. Any questions?
Dr. Eloy, you may need to take a trip to Washington and get us approval on all that.
I'll pass on that one for now.
So, hey, we're city gonna go. And, I didn't think we'd be here, frankly.
It's been a long journey, I think, so we're excited too. Thank you so much.
Some job created too. Yeah.
So, that's all.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Guys, anything else?
We need to vote.
We need to vote.
Yes, yes. Roll call.
Yes, ma'am.
374, yes, yes.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Deidre?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 5, yes, large cafeteria equipment bids open July the 1st. That's what we just did.
That's what we just did.
I was about to say, if there was another 30.
You're gonna give me a heart attack here.
Dr. Eloy, that's my second list.
Yes, okay.
Item C is discuss and consider increasing funding for Niagara Paris 4-H. Ms. Phelps.
Yes. So in your packet or in your board docs, you received a document that the 4-H club provided to us. And they're requesting an increase of funding of $1,100, and they have not had an increase from us, I believe in 7 years is around the time frame. And during that 7 years, they've increased enrollment by near 50%. And they have a massive presence in almost all of our schools. And so they are asking for additional funding. And within the information they provided, they did let us know how many volunteers they have, how many active clubs they have, and it's quite impressive. So they are asking for $1,100 more per year. And I did speak with Mr. Lee Wascom and our superintendent, and we are possibly considering that for the next school year budget, not necessarily today. Is that?
Well, I'm gonna be presenting a budget at the next board meeting, and we can just work that number in there. So when y'all approve that, it will automatically approve that increase.
Okay.
But did you want them to vote on it now, or wait till
It's really y'all's call, but when I present the budget next month, the line item will be increased by this, and that will, when y'all adopt the budget, it will adopt that increase at that time.
Okay.
It was doable with the budget.
I believe it's $1,100 a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we can probably squeeze that in.
Yeah. You maybe could find a little bit
I
more.
think we can squeak out $1,100, yes. Yes, ma'am, I'll commit that we can do that. But I think that's when it needs to be resolved, is at the time of the adoption of the budget.
Okay. So if anyone needs additional information about that, be sure and let me know, and I can email you anything you need.
What's the total?
I believe right now is it 5,000 a year?
Without Pat here.
I
Yeah,
think
sorry.
I do
She
remember.
literally has doubled the size of our 4-H.
And she's also doing a principal's breakfast for us in a month, so.
Fundraisers is just amazing.
Right, they're up to 35 clubs right now, so it is a massive presence. And the thing that's most impressive about them is the awards they're winning.
Right.
Everything
And
they
it's-
compete in, they're coming back with some award, making our parish look better.
So is this just what we're giving,
Yes,
right?
this is just from.
As the board?
Yes, the other school districts in her region support in the same way, and I think they've, according to my discussions, they've also increased their amount as well.
And they haven't asked for an increase in quite some time. Maybe because we didn't have any money for quite some time, but they've been pretty.
I think we can work out $1,100 increase.
Is that the truth or not the truth?
She's asked, just not formally.
Yes, and she is willing to come speak to the board too. And if you've never met Miss Pam Pierce, you are totally missing out. She is a bundle of energy and happiness.
Item D, consider delaying further discussion of consolidation to allow for in-depth studies of demographics, transportation, and other needs of the district by independent agencies to determine the needs of the district while moving forward with the renewal of millages for District 8 and District 10 as separate tax districts. Ms. Broadway?
Yes, I think this is just a continuation of our conversation from the last board meeting. We know that we do need to move forward, renewing our villages in District 8 and District 10, and we can also take the time to step away from moving forward with any consolidation and do some in-depth research. We can have some independent agencies come in, assess our entire district, our entire parish, to see what are the needs, and looking at things such as demographics and transportation facilities, and how we can better serve everyone in our parish.
So I have a question. What was the status of what we were voting on the last time?
What's the status?
So,
Like this,
so the judge at the hearing deemed that it was dismissed it based on prematurity.
Right.
On prematurity, but then did say that were we to vote on it, then that same lawsuit could be filed again if the plaintiff wanted to do that. So we're free to move forward, and they're free to move forward as well, I guess you could say.
But what we've chosen to do is step back and reevaluate the entire situation.
And some of that, we've talked to our bond attorney, Brennan Black out of New Orleans, and he gave us, he doesn't know anything about politics, nor does he really care, and he's not from here. He was looking at it purely from a fiduciary standpoint, and it was his suggestion to do some of this, and then also through discussions with board members and discussions with our other attorney, some of this discussion of a study was broached.
And seeing how we have not gathered all of the information from the census as well.
that hasn't been made available
Right,
yet.
it hasn't been made available, and also due diligence with some of the things that we have talked about after the federal court order has been resolved. We're on a unitary status, so there's an opportunity for us to look at some things from a professional perspective to make some future decisions.
According to our board attorney too, some of these things have not been investigated for upwards of 20 years, 20 or 30 years. And so regardless of the,
district, right?
in this district, so regardless of the discussion of consolidation or not consolidating, I think it's very much a value, but it makes sense to do this before you would take that other step.
So we have already hired someone to proceed.
We have not officially hired them yet. I'm going to present, I talked to Mr. Hammonds today, and I said, assuming that we do, y'all do vote this in, then they would present themselves at the August board meeting, and what they would do and their services and who they are and all those things.
The professionals that are gonna help us, look at these particular areas, research and present so that we can make.
We're looking at probably 3 professionals, one from an academic standpoint, which I think I mentioned to y'all, we're probably already contracted with them in other areas. One for facilities, which again, we already do business with that individual in some capacity. And then the other one would be a demographer who would really look at the transportation and all the demographics, whether it be racial or gender and every part of the demographics. And this person does things for districts all around the state, and it comes highly recommended. But we have not solidified those contracts. We obviously want to.
We already have a demographer that's looking at
for the census.
For the census.
Yeah, that's a separate issue,
right.
but correct, yes, sir.
And I like going this route because we're looking at the bigger picture, like we can find out what kind of condition our facilities are in, where the kids are going, where they live, and what the true need is of the parish, whether that be in a new building or a different curriculum or more bus routes or less bus routes, whatever the case may be. So it'll be like an overall checkup, like a health report
Right.
or.
That, and it'll also give us some things that we dearly need, some very in-depth mapping of the district for our transportation department, also for our zoning, for Miss Anita. So again, separate from all the discussion of consolidation, these are some things that we very much need. And I think it feels like a very apropos time to do that. And I think the timing of these things, we've said a lot of times that the timing of all this stuff is very important. And I think one of the things that a lot of folks said, whether they were for or against consolidation, was, hey, this is going kind of fast, and we've mentioned that as well. We don't necessarily think that any of this would slow down progress. It just kind of reorganizes that progress, if that makes sense.
And it kind of gives us more data to make the appropriate decisions where we have facts and science to back up why we're doing what we're doing or attempting to do, in my opinion.
Any further comments? So, I'm not sure if we are taking any action on this because.
What says consent?
Well, Dr. Lloyd, do you want to make a motion to hire these needed consultants at this time?
Yeah.
Make that motion.
Make a motion to hire the needed consultants?
We can. It is a service, so we can do that. But if you want to have it through board action,
I can do this with. Yes, that's right. I can do this.
Yeah, but this shows the support from the board.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah.
So go ahead and can make that motion.
I'll offer.
Okay,
The motion would be to authorize me to hire the necessary consultants to perform a parish-wide analysis of.
I just keep it at that, a parish-wide analysis. Let it be broad and then we can pinpoint where we want to with them in those discussions. And if the board has any specifics, which I'm sure y'all will, we can address those with them.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned by Ms. Broadway and second by Ms. Danzy.
So what we just voting on to hire a consultant, or we voting on to renew the millage?
We're voting on simply to hire a consultant.
Yeah, because I think the millage comes up next.
Well, now, the millage renewal, for the renewals of existing millages, that will be addressed at the next board meeting. And that simply then send it to the state for election.
Any further questions? Comments?
Restate the motion again for the record, please.
He didn't write it down.
Did it so well.
Okay, so to approve authorizing the hire of a consultant group to analyze the parish.
And I think it's good leaving it open like that.
Yeah.
Because we may find something that we may.
They can even look at the food that Ms. Hicks is serving. May need some more salt or less salt.
All right. All right. Any further comments? All right. Let's go roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Pedro?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
So, and can I just say one thing? I hope that this also is a message to the folks that this board very much has been engaged in this process and has been listening. And I'll just leave it at that.
I agree.
Item 7E, consider approving a grant agreement with Rapides Foundation for renewal of a Healthy Behavior School District Partnership Grant for 2021-2022 school year, not to exceed $46,300 over the 12 months beginning July 1st, 2021, allowing the superintendent to sign all necessary paperwork, and I'll offer that.
I'll second.
And offered by Mr. James, seconded by Ms. Broadway. Any questions, any comments?
I had a question, and I know that she explained F, but I wanted, make sure we had understanding as far as what the grant, would provide in regards to healthy behaviors, for the school district?
What does it provide?
Specifically, what,
And, for healthy behaviors, and
what assistance are you getting, improvement in regards to students that have issues with behavioral issues?
no ma'am, it's a prevention program. The
Prevention
healthy
program.
behaviors is health and diet, physical exercise. There's a component for that, that's in all that's in kindergarten through 8th grade. Our students receive, healthy curriculum through, prevention curriculum. And they do, part of their like physical fitness tests and things like that. The Rapides Foundation provides the curriculum for them to teach. They also have a staff wellness program as part of that healthy behaviors. It's broken up into three different grant programs actually under healthy behaviors. And so we do have coordinators at every school. Some schools have 2. There's one also that is the tobacco prevention. And what that does is allow the 7th through 12th graders, they have a core group of kids, and they're responsible for going to the youth summit that the Rapides Foundation puts on. And then they do, it used to be called Kick Butts Day, but now they just changed the name last year. It became more politically correct. Take Down Tobacco. I think that's the name of it that they just changed to. And so they do that in the schools. It's a big day that the whole school's involved with like prevention things. They do activities, and then they also do. They've added a drug education prevention week that they do participate in the awareness week, and those 2 days and weeks are nationwide that they are a part of. So they also provide the Rapides Foundation for the wellness part. They provided $1,500 that each school got to spend last year. Some of them chose to use for recess breaks, and so each one of our schools or 2 of our schools did buckets for the kids to take out at recess and play with footballs and hula hoops and jump ropes, and they did that for each classroom. Some of our schools put in more water filters. They changed the water fountains to the bottle fillers. They were able to purchase those. So those are kind of some of the things that they did. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
7, F, consider approving a grant agreement with the Rapides Foundation for renewal of the Youth Volunteer School District Grant for 21-22 school year not to exceed $6,700 over 12 months beginning July 1st, 2021. Allow the superintendent to sign this paperwork, and I'll offer that.
Second.
Been offered by Mr. Gansey and seconded by Mr. McTwire. Any questions, any comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. Ayes have it.
7G, consider approving the Natchez Parish School Board Student Handbook for the 2021-2022 school year. And Ms. Ingram went over the things there.
Yeah.
Anybody have any comments?
I do. You offered, Mr. McTwire, I offered it, second by Ms. Phil. Any questions, any comments? I do have some questions. I know it says about the kids who are suspended would go virtual.
Expelled. Yes, sir.
Would go virtual.
Yes, sir.
My question about it is, when we talk about virtual, is this taken into consideration of the kids, maybe a 504 or IEPs and things like that? Because some of these kids actually need to be in somebody's physical care.
Right, and with a student that has disabilities in regards to a 504 plan or an IEP, they will have to have a meeting and they'll have to determine placement. And if the virtual is not necessarily the best possibility for them, then they will have to make the correct placement for them. And that's with any student that has a disability.
Because I have had some concern about from some of
Right.
our educators that it's hard enough for those kids when they are face to face. But to have them virtually is probably going to be even harder.
Well, it'll be an IEP team decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even for, some of the kids that might possibly be expelled to be sent home for virtual if you don't have support there.
So-
For working parents, and that can be another issue that needs to be.
Yeah, so I can address some of those issues. First off, I want to say that we're not the first ones dipping our toes into this water. We've had discussions with other parishes who've done this, and they've worked around these issues and they've talked to us about some of it. The other thing is that we're not just going to throw them out there because we're going to have times where they have to have meets and things of that nature. We also we are looking at providing the MiFi devices to those students who don't have access so that they'll be able to access. But the other piece of this is trying to prevent expulsions in general. And once they do get expelled, we typically think of an expulsion as a year-long thing or a 2-year-long thing. What we're wanting to do in this is, because a lot of our kids who do get expelled, if you look at and you say, okay, well, they're going to a face-to-face, a lot of times their attendance is not really the best. So yeah, they're face-to-face, but they may miss 50% of those days, if not even more. So in this situation, number one, we're put at the high school and in every city school, we're putting a BBLC, which is a tier 3 intervention to where it prevents them from getting expelled. So before they ever, before they might have, oh, you're getting expelled. Now they're going to be putting that BBLC, so it's another deterrent. They're still at school. It's almost like it's a therapeutic version of ISS that is supposed to get them to remediate and stay in school. So that's number one. Number two is if they do go through that, they do get expelled, then we reduce the expulsion down to hopefully a maximum of 9 weeks. So that way, yeah, they're virtual, but they're only virtual for a short time, and then they're back at it. Because I agree with everything you're saying. We do not want to throw a kid on virtual for a year who, obviously, if they got expelled, they probably have some exacerbating issues besides just the academic. So these are things, I'll be very straight up with y'all. This is going to be an evolution because this is new, but it's something that we do believe is valuable, and there may be some hiccups, but we do think, based on other districts' experiences and the planning ahead of this, that we can address a lot of those issues.
But I do want to say that student will be able to go in BBLC if it's what we call the big three,
yes,
which is
correct.
drugs, weapons, or weapons are 5.
Is the problem that they had started in Weaver?
Yes, ma'am.
In the in-house?
Yes, ma'am.
And
is that going to be, I was in a meeting with you when we had a discussion about that. Is this particular problem going to be available for students, to participate in other schools that have in the district that have disability issues?
Yes, ma'am. What we've looked at is starting off, because this is it's kind of been piloted, is we looked at the schools that had the most your UIRD and things of that nature, and so we put them in those schools. And when you look at the high school level, it's nothing against Central. It's just they have the larger student body. They're having a large number of students. It's in line with every 5A school. They just have 1,400 kids, you're going to have more disciplinary actions. So we said, it's crazy for us to do all this stuff at the elementary and junior high, but our biggest school, we don't have this opportunity. And so we're right now talking with Mr. Coleman and his staff, trying to make that work because location and staffing is priority with this. But we really want to get to the point, and this is somewhat naive to say because I am realistic. We're going to have disciplinary problems, but we would love to get to the point where we're only having expulsions for those big 3. Now, that is going to be a process, but I think we all are in agreement, no matter how progressive we are in discipline, if a student brings a weapon to school, drugs to school, or severe bodily harm to someone else, they need to be separated for the good of everyone else. But if we see just constant willful disobedience, we need to teach them how to do better in that regard.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those opposed, nay? Ayes have it.
Good, and go to the person tonight.
Item 7H, declare excess equipment at LP Bond as surplus in order to sell to the community to raise funds for LP Bond.
We have, what's that?
Did we take that?
That was a handbook, wasn't it?
That was what?
Yeah, it was.
No, that was on the agenda
That was the
before,
handbook.
24 hours ago.
That was the handbook, it was, I think, motion by,
I thought we were talking about L.
oh, we were talking about.
Anxious.
No, we were on G.
Okay.
You need to back up, you need to ask her a question.
Nope, I found the answer, so no problem.
Okay, we have done a lot of playground equipment replacement, particularly at LP Vaughn, who apparently was rewarded on like some Payroll, playground equipment. There's a lot of excess ancient playground equipment. We would like to have y'all declare some of this so that we could then maybe have a garage sale. The community can come by and pick it up and we could raise some funds in the student activity.
Mr. Wilson, can you clarify though, if it's stuff that's in the ground, whoever wins that?
It has been removed and they can just haul
Okay.
over with it, yeah.
Thank you.
It's already been removed?
Yes, all the new equipment's in place, all the excess playground equipment is ready to be sold. We just didn't wanna throw it away or anything.
So is it?
Is it in place or is it?
At that location?
It's mobile, it's at that location,
Location,
and
okay.
it's mobile, and, basically everything you don't see nailed down is what, it's a really seriously ancient, playground equipment.
And it's not just that it's ancient.
It's good.
We can't use it in the school setting any longer because of our guidelines, but that does not mean a private resident or a church, things like that they can definitely use it.
And you said the monies were gonna be used for?
We were just gonna allow them to, put it in their, school activity fund for the school and allow them to have discretionary, how they would like to put it in their discretionary funds.
Are they gonna auction it off or?
No, their thought was, I spoke with Natalie Ducote, her thought was just kind of have the best, like, it's not an official auction where it's all legal and everything. It was just gonna be, make an offer and we'll see how it goes, but some of the stuff is in really good shape, and some of it is really, normally it'd be, taking the dump, but we thought, well, it's actually, somebody would probably like to have, one, so they gave us $5, and we would do it.
But she probably needs to advertise that and have it on a specific day, just.
Right, it was gonna be on a specific day.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just garage selling it off to use it as a fundraiser. And also, it was gonna be a moment so the community could come see and observe the new playground equipment. It was also going to be used as that moment as well.
Which I know that conversation was initiated by Ms. Palmer about a year ago now.
Oh,
But, I think we need to check with, our lawyer and see.
I did, he specifically said, if y'all would declare it as excess playground equipment no longer needed, then we could just do that.
And it's been behind the fence, so it can't be accessed, is that correct?
Yeah, it's been behind, all the kindergarten, pre-K, and all that equipment has to be behind the fence.
Now, with that stuff, if, say, for instance, I'd say I'd give $5, Steve come there and say I'd give $10, so now what you gonna do with
I was
$10?
gonna let Cody just work that out and they can arm wrestle for whoever wanted it.
But that's gonna be the deal,
So the lawyer didn't give any,
He just asked, I asked him, could we kind of just auction this stuff off? He says, Lee, is it worth salvage? I said, it's really not, it's really in bad condition. It's not,
so if he's saying that, then that's fine, but I think we need to she needs to have an internal mechanism so we don't have, because then it can be one of those things that no good deed goes unpunished because someone didn't get a slide and someone else did. So.
I was just gonna work that out
Do it as a seal bid where no one knows what each other's bidding.
You gonna really mind?
All we have to do is declare the excess.
If y'all declare it excess, we can actually be as creative. The idea was to invite the community to see the new playground equipment that we've purchased with bond 9 money and a variety of different funds. and also to have an opportunity to pick up some of the old stuff. In the past, see, like, we would just take it and throw it away. It just seems like a waste, so this was an idea to fund it.
Iron seems to be kind of expensive right now, so take across the scales.
Melt it down and.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, we need a motion
I move that we,
to declare.
yes, I move that we declare excess equipment at LP bond.
It's been motion by Ms. Phelps,
second.
second by Ms. Broadway, that we declare the equipment at LP bond excess. Any further questions, comments? Roll call.
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Gedros?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mr. Gasky? Yes. Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Before we move on page 1, we had a maintenance report. Mr. Benefield had asked us to have a detailed maintenance report. Mr. Shirley is here tonight and has given y'all in your package a detailed maintenance report. I'd like to bring him up at this time to go over anything that y'all might have about, questions about that. In the future, that'll be offered in Tuesday's board meeting, but since that was his first day, he didn't have a chance. So here's Mr. Ryan Shirley.
Guys, how are y'all? Just for future reference, the format of this will be changed. I will have a little bit more time to prepare. Going through the work orders and talking with the staff and going around and looking at things with my own eyes. Most of the playground equipment has been installed across the parish. We still have some removal of some things as we just talked about. We have quotes to replace a few of the water heaters, a couple at Natchitoches Central, I think one at LP Bond. Those should be coming to me sometime this week in order to get through the process. Lakeview had an ice machine that had been down for a while, and we discovered that it was actually under warranty, so it's being covered under warranty. An assessment has been done on the grounds and lawns. We do have some issues with some equipment that we're addressing right now, and we are training some staff members to use the equipment properly.
I think we had a round of applause for something else. You might need one for that.
So yeah, that's going to be a good one to get done. Over the last month or so, they've delivered a ton of extra desks and furniture throughout the schools, and some supplies to the schools for summer school. We have repaired some of the issues with Martinville's fire alarm system. The remainder of it will be repaired during phase 1 of their new construction. Core mains replaced and repaired some sewer pipes at Goldon that we've had issues with that had burst. Rutledge repaired some leaking pipes that they found inside the wall at Fairview. We have replaced multiple door handles and locks across several schools for security measures, which we have a lot more to go. Core mains repaired sewer for the G-Pod at Natchitoches Central. They had a busted 2-inch line there.
Is Natchitoches Junior High?
Yes, junior, sorry. Also, we have distributed some paints to schools for some minor touch-ups and some, they are repainting some areas. Like I say, next meeting I'll have a little bit more detailed, place by place, school by school, ground by ground. So, does anybody have any questions at this time?
I just need to ask, I was asked by one of my constituents, if the school board would continue to be responsible for mowing the grounds at the Head Start. It looks pretty bad, so I'm still under our ownership.
Are you talking on Martin Luther King?
Yes.
I would think we need to.
Yeah, because we own it. If we own it and we haven't turned over to anybody yet, we ought to be responsible.
Yeah.
We can add that to the list. Yeah. But we will add that to the list.
Thank you.
Very well.
Add another somebody's let by the city.
One of the main problems with that is there's a lot of broken glass. There's a lot of issues we'll have to address before we can actually start doing lawn service there. There's a lot of.
I think as a partner in this community, though, as the landowners. I mean, we don't need to add any blight. So I think that's, whether it's getting up glass or doing all that, we need to do that.
From a risk management standpoint.
That
we
too.
need
Yeah,
to do
that's a safety issue. So yes, that will
Start
be.
bringing the bleacher bill at the same time.
Yeah, well,
Bleacher bill, well,
yeah, we need to do that too.
Well, we'll have that discussion and get it underway.
okay.
Mr. Watson, before you step down,
What's that?
it's a fact that was on my mind earlier, and I want to wait to the end of the report. Can you provide us with the last 3 years on our insurance cost and what we've done in the way of, now, we can't do storm damage, you gotta wipe that out. But can you provide us with our insurance costs and where our main problems coming from, claims and different things like that? In addition to that, what have we done to put in place to work those? And again, that's lost control. And
You mean, okay, so the insurance costs as far as loss claims, or are you talking about how much our insurance actually costs?
well, both.
Insurance costs roughly, from the vast majority of our types of insurance, I just renewed it for $625,000, but I had to add,
But go ahead and do the last 3 years, let's see what it's done.
okay.
And then.
Here's what I'm mainly concerned about with our insurance. Hurricane Laura, they did not pay us $1. All of our campuses and these buildings here sustained material damage. And they said there was not more than $100,000 worth of damage in all campuses combined.
Wow.
And I am not happy with this at all. This is ridiculous. So I am pursuing matters, which I can report back in the future.
Also, we have some workers' compensation, we don't need to know names, but we just need to know.
We're initiating some conversations with Hammonds and Seals to see what our legal responsibility is in all those.
And we just want to look at the hot spots, and if we do have slip, trips, and falls, and what are those causes? We have carpal tunnel, back injuries, what are those causes? Do we need to have certain pieces of equipment put in place for lifting and things like that? Mr. Shirley can help us with some of that, but the point is let's look at that overall, what's happened in the last 3 to 5 years.
The vast majority of our lawsuits the year I've been here have been more about employment liabilities, right, when things are not quite handled necessarily in the way in which people would prefer what they're.
As personnel matter.
Yeah, as personnel, no, that's where both of our stuff is.
So employment practices, so that, what he's saying is a big.
That's where both of our stuff is.
So it goes that on the whatever
Yeah,
litigation before you got.
Yeah, I think we can straighten some of that out with our current administration, but,
So are you wanting that for the next board meeting?
if we can.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I would like to
I
see
could
where
actually bring Kerry Sims here. and
where
go
those
over it.
trends are. Yes, sir.
So for the last 3 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can contact our insurance. He's an independent rep, so I can certainly pull that together.
Now, as far as the claims not being satisfied with not being paid, you can definitely appeal that and ask for a mediator to look at it again.
That's the process I'm going through.
Well, we will be mediating.
I was being quiet until I actually had something fun to bite into, but I
And you
will.
can complain to the Department of Insurance as well too, so that.
That's where I'm headed.
Yeah, like you coming on something.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it, I'm anxious to see how much our premiums did go up from last year because.
Actually, our premiums went down.
Good.
From the previous year, so our insurance costs went down. I added more for cyber because the growing trend nationwide is all the cyber hacks and stuff and the liability to our school board if certain things happen about information might get out. I just wanted all sufficient coverage. The coverage we had was not enough. So in consultation with Mike Kozad, we tried to hit a happy medium at that. But if you were just gotten exactly the same policy as the previous year, the actual went down, which is surprising.
Which was unusual in the state. A lot of districts went.
Probably next year may be scary.
A lot of districents went up hundreds of percentage points.
And having
So ours
board,
went down
it's our
because we didn't get paid.
responsibility to make sure that we keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
That's right.
But, right, so I did renew the insurance policy we had in place. And, with Kerry Sims, who's our representative, I can bring him at our next board meeting. He can discuss all that.
You know, one thing we might want to consider though is having that meeting in executive session when we start discussing limits of insurance and what we have covered that does entice people.
we need to make sure that can be covered. Though some of those
Yeah,
topics,
we definitely.
some of those topics can, but some of them can't, and they're often big topics, so, yeah, you're
Right, so
right.
if we start saying we have $3 million limits, somebody's neck may start hurting immediately.
Okay.
I would also entertain from this board a committee of insurance, we obviously have one insurance expert, but some people to help out as we go through our policy in detail. Because it's quite extensive and goes into many areas. And, so that would probably be helpful as well.
Do you have any other questions?
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Ms. Page, any other?
That's the whole package, all the different varieties of insurance.
As you can see, we have 14 additional things since Tuesday, and I want to thank Mr. Dennisville again for reminding me of the thing that we forgot to add, and that is to ask that we change Ms. Shawna Hicks from supervisor to director. Ms. Hicks started this year, and she's had to do some things that no other supervisor has had to do because of some things that we've never had to live through. But she handled them in such a way that you would think it's something that happens all the time. So at this time, I'm asking that we just change her from supervisor to director.
No, we don't, that's personnel change. What we do, she is a director, so that's a different position. And so when you promote someone from a supervisory level to a director level, I think we have to approve it.
Will you need a supervisor to take that position?
Right. And I'm not trying to disagree, but do we? Because that's a personnel, and that's just a. We don't do it when an assistant principal becomes a principal.
No, no.
But didn't we approve all this?
No.
No, you don't approve this. Remember this. 2 meetings ago, Bob Hammond told us that this is just informational package.
Right.
Okay.
And so whatever you sold, it is what it is.
We'll kind of, list it under Act 1 and roll with it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so very much. Ms. Pitt?
Yes, executive report 9A, annual evaluation of superintendent, and it will be an executive session.
Motion.
Are we going to cover B, or did you take that?
I covered that.
First amendment?
Yeah.
Do we want to cover the 2 items we added at the beginning of the meeting first before we go into executive session?
I thought we already.
We didn't vote on. Y'all didn't vote on.
We didn't vote, we just voted
We
to
just
add
voted
it.
to add
Okay,
it.
well, we need to go ahead and take that up.
It's the first item, it was not.
It's the Bessie increase from MFP.
I'm asking permission, it's just an abundance of caution, to adjust the payroll schedule that we present in the public, to increase it to $800 for certified teachers and certified personnel, and $400 increase. This money is all being provided to us by Bessie. They have passed it. It's effective July 1. I'm just updating the published salary schedule. So this is in addition to the existing salary schedule, an additional $800 per year.
So is that going to be, first of all, let's get the motion.
I'll offer.
Okay, it's been motion by Mr. Horner, second by Mr. Twire. Any questions or comments? I got a question. So is this going to be added to their salary schedule?
Yearly salary, yes. Bessie, the MFP dollars will pay to cover this increase. The Bessie, the MFP dollars we get.
Yeah, the formula was
The
increased.
formula will be increased to pay for this.
Okay.
So, so I'm asking permission to go on our payroll, our salary schedule that's public, and add $800 for the certified personnel and $400 for all the other personnel. uncertified personnel. And it's, we're gonna be paying them anyhow, I'm just asking permission to update all the salary schedules.
Yeah. Any other comment?
This is a no-brainer. I just wanted to ask permission to do it because it's what we published
Yeah,
publicly.
you know, all that money they gonna be getting up for a month, boy, they gonna be spending all in one place.
Thank you, Ken.
But this is included with the regular salary, right? 12 months, $800. They won't see it. They won't see it.
Mr. Nancy?
Yes.
Mr. McClure?
Yes.
Mr. Benfield?
Yes.
Mr. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. Pedro?
Yes.
Mrs. Broadway?
Yes.
Mrs. Gasky? Mrs. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passed.
I like, Mr. Lee, I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
If you was to take in what we pay on the basic salaries for teachers, add it in with the extra checks they got and everything, how close are we to the surrounding parishes?
So I can mention that if you.
Yeah, I think you're more aware of that than.
Yeah, the problem is we're if you do a Google search, I think they list us, I want to say they list us as number 12 in Louisiana. It might be 18 for some reason.
I've heard 18.
I get mixed up on that. The problem is we're surrounded by number 1, number 2, and number 6. Now, I mean, I'll be honest with you, between us and number 1 and number 2, it's hard to compete. You're talking about probably maybe a $10,000 difference in some positions. As you get away from those two, it gets, you know, we can compete a lot better. I will say that even with the number 1, the gap gets bigger, the more experience and the more you're doing. There are times where we're within 3,000 to 5,000, especially with some of our people who are maybe in their 2nd, 3rd, 4th year. It's just when you start saying, okay, you have your master's, you're plus 30, you also coach a sport. Those are some of the things that you start to see.
But I will push back a little bit from that to say that we do our sales tax money very differently. More people pay it as a part of their standard pay, so their salary looks stronger, but their sales tax money is much weaker. Y'all know what I mean? So we tend to keep our salary smaller and our sales tax payout much bigger. That's part of the difference here. So
is it included in their
no, it's not
salary
included in our
schedule?
ranking. It's not included in our ranking.
I'm talking about in surrounding parishes.
Yes.
It's included in their salary schedule.
It's how. Yes, because you look at the law that we passed when we passed that sales tax. It simply just goes towards salaries. It doesn't define how you do it. Right. We just decided back in the 90s when this was passed to do it in the fashion in which we do it. It was perfectly fine. Everybody's used to it and prefers it the way we do it. When it comes though to looking at our salary numbers as compared to surrounding parishes, what you will find is, I think even several people who moved in from Rapides have realized that I actually get paid more in Natchitoches than I might in Rapides, because when you add the sales tax benefits, which are much stronger in Natchitoches, we actually are competitive or slightly beat Rapides Parish.
So that's where I'm going with. I was asked by an employee from another neighboring parish, it wasn't Rapid, and they're thinking about moving into Natchitoches Parish and working in Natchitoches Parish to finish out before they retire in the next 6 years. So undoubtedly we pay more than that particular parish, and that's what I was.
So what we do also, because we've all agreed that sometimes when you went to the website you would see that number and you're like, oh, wow, that's a whole lot less. What we've done now is if you go to the calculator that Mr. Kozad and his staff made, it'll tell you your base salary, but then it'll give you a projection based on your years of the historical numbers for sales tax, and then we give you a total. Now we put a little caveat that says this is not official, but this is an estimate, and it's pretty accurate.
It's actually really conservative on the low side.
It is, and so I think that has been very helpful because, number one, I'll tell you, as someone who's been in systems for 15 years, I never would apply at a place that did not have an updated salary schedule because I felt like they were hiding something. And then also, you want to know. That's the biggest part of being an employee somewhere. And so we've gotten a lot of people who, that exact thing you were talking about, who were like, oh wow, I didn't know Natchitoches was paying this much. And especially this year, I think everyone was very, very happy with it.
As I may have mentioned to y'all before, we had a historic high amount of salary, what we call sales tax checks go out. Like last year it was $3.7 million, and this year it was $4.683, something like $1 million. That's a significant amount of money.
What was the highest,
Highest
give
paid.
out, what was the lowest?
I actually had Chad Harris sent that to me. I'll be glad to give that.
He's so tired, both today.
Well, I was just curious myself what the difference was, it was quite high. Let's see.
I thought you would've had that pulled up.
Yeah, well, I did earlier.
Just took it off the top of his
Here
head.
it is. We distributed, this July, last year we did 3.7 million even. This year, we did 4,658,000. Highest was 9,254 gross. And last year the high was 7,236.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was a 27% increase over last year.
So those principals don't want that highest teacher to retire.
No.
Let's identify who that person is and keep them employed.
What was the lowest?
Actually, it's not listed here. I have first year teacher. A first year teacher this July got around almost $6,500 as compared to. Now this is just the July payment. This isn't both of them combined. And last year they got $4,940. So this is quite significant.
So just to give you all an idea, I won't name the parish, but a large parish to our south, they received a one-time payment of $6,000 for their sale, what they call their sales tax bonus. Our one teacher sales tax check for the summer was $400 more than that one check they got, and that's not even counting the December check. So
it's just a way we structure things, and most of the teachers, once they get used to it, enjoy this. But if you were just to take our salary schedule and compare it to our neighboring, it's not going to look the same. But once you show them the caveat, it really does. For somebody doing a quick look, it hurts. But for somebody who really does in-depth study, we actually do pay very well here. As well as it goes for teachers. Let me don't get in trouble.
Because we are and I think I made y'all aware, over the course of the next year, Mr. Wascom is meeting with every department, every school, whether it be coaches or food service, which I think he's already had a lot of discussions with them, or custodians or secretarial staff to say, okay, where are our blind spots in our salary schedule, and addressing the salary schedule. And we believe he'll be able to present a document that brings about equity, fairness, etc. Although that fairness is a hard word to use when it comes to pay because it's it's a variable type thing. But he'll be able to present y'all a new salary schedule. We're not talking about crazy raises and things like that, but just kind of filling in the potholes, so to speak. And he'll present that to y'all. Hopefully, I think next.
It's been almost 13 years since we've done this.
Yeah.
And it's just time to review.
So just cleaning it up for maybe next April or March for the 22-23 fiscal year.
That's good.
So when anyone asks us about raises or anything like that, that is what we're telling them.
We're deferring to that.
We're deferring to this study we're doing throughout the year and addressing issues for the 22-23 because there's too many repercussions for the folks in the payroll department to do anything except at the change of fiscal year, and there's too many variables to not take a full year to really investigate that.
Well, we had 12, he's 18, we can come up quite a bit, because I remember a few years ago, we were down in the low 20s. Our salary schedules.
Well, I don't know how.
When we go to the convention, they'll give you a paper showing what the salary schedule is.
Well, and I'm purely
to be in the low 20s.
Yeah, and I'm purely going off of a Google search, so I don't know how accurate that is. I haven't got anything from LSBA recently on that, but I can talk to Dr. Pope and see if they have that information. Ms. Phelps, you still have something?
We still have.
We haven't voted yet.
No, we haven't
We need to
voted.
vote.
Yeah.
Not on the deal.
Voted on vested,
No, the bid
to go
funding,
to dress code.
Yeah, that's what we need to.
Motion and a second.
so we don't need to vote on the
Y'all did.
Just now,
Yeah.
On on the dress code, what we changing, we're going back to the old dress code, or?
Can I just say, this is why we worked well as a team?
I think everyone has a case of the Mondays and the Thursdays.
Definitely a Monday.
There was some cobwebs. Starting now.
Dress
So yes, when school starts in August, we need to let the teachers know that the sunset has set on being able to wear jeans and scrubs. And that is because we are technically in phase 3, but not really. We still have, we don't have a mask mandate nor the intense hygiene and cleaning things that they're having to perform. That's creating a more casual dress environment. And so we need to close the door on that.
So,
if everyone approves.
so just revert to pre-COVID dress code, teacher dress code?
Yes.
Revert
Immediately.
for, yes, yeah.
Yeah, because there's really nothing in session right now other than the central office staff.
So if we do immediately, that'll cover their.
They're on summer hours now.
Yes.
Okay, so.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Motion by Mr. Benefield, seconded by Ms. Palmer. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. All right.
So, do we have a motion to enter executive session?
I'll make a motion.
To be clear, we're evaluating you.
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. No, yeah.
A motion by Ms. Beverly Broadway and seconded by Mr. Clark. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed?